Hello, friends. In the previous episode, I shared some of the steps I took to get back from my medical challenges and reclaim my life. And I really hope that it has been useful and has goaded you into making some positive moves towards enhancing your lives and your relationships. Now, as mentioned in the last episode, in today's episode, I shall speak of some of the habits, some of the things that you can do and imbibe into your routines, into your lives, that I believe can help you transform your life and help you to soar way above what you yourself may not have even imagined. It's not that you can't do it, but you may not have imagined or thought of getting to those heights. Reminds me of Jonathan Livingston Seagull. So let's look at what can be done. Now, what I'm going to list here today are the thoughts as they came to mind when I was making those quick notes during my 30-minute coffee break before I started my talk. Or shall I say more like a chat? Because it was an interactive session. They kept asking me questions. They kept raising their points. And I tell you, they were a brilliant bunch of kids over there who brought up some things that I had not thought of. And for me, it was a great learning session also. Okay. So let's quickly check out some of the things that they brought to the table, or which I brought to the table and that came to mind, and what we thought about. The first thing I had written in my notes was that one should adapt and maintain a growth mindset along with a great attitude. I know I spoke about this in the last thing, but I do believe that this is the fundamental root from which it is the foundation which will help you to take up all the things and soar way above everybody else. So you should have a mindset and an attitude that is absolutely prone to learning new skills all the time. You need to keep developing and growing, changing yourself to continuously improve. At the end of the day, whether it's with yourself or with things around you, change is the only constant. And if you don't change with the times and with the things as they move along, you're going to be left behind. So you need to learn new skills. You need to cultivate new interests all the time, constantly, continuously, judiciously. There are things that you can learn which are not going to be so helpful. Stay away from them. They might even bring you down. And do all the good stuff all the time. You need to be remarkable all the time. There is no phase or a time period where you need to be remarkable. You need to be remarkable all the time. You need to be a thought leader continuously and at all times. And most of all, you need to be unique. You cannot just be one of the others also. You need to be able to stand out and get people to notice you. Another thing which I think is very important, and this is something I learned from a company I worked with for over 20 years. Do the noble oblige. Oblige. Help the less fortunate. Be charitable with your time, with your thoughts, and with your money. By doing this thought shots, which, as I said in the last episode is not designed to be just a revenue or to be a revenue stream at all. I have had some side benefits, no denying that, but it was not, and even today, it is not a revenue stream. Okay. So be charitable with your thoughts. That's what I'm doing. With your money, unfortunately, I don't have so much, but I do my own little bit all times. And with your time. Okay. In whichever way you can. It doesn't have to be in any particular way, but you need to do that. You need to take the right decisions and execute them honestly. You need to always take a call whenever anything comes up. You need to make a decision, even if it is not a decision that is 100% right or perfect in any way whatsoever. But once you've taken the call and taken a decision, you need to start working on making it right. Tweak along the way. It's not etched in stone. Tweak along the way, but ensure that you make sure that decision is right. And in all of these things, you need to be very clear and honest in both your vision and your values. And need you live by them. You need to live for your vision, and most importantly, you need to live and honor your values. There will be umpteen temptations that will come along the way to your vision, your goals, where giving up on your values make things easier or make things faster. Don't get trapped into those waters. Sweat the small stuff. This is something that I believe, and when we brought up this topic with all the kids, my God, those guys, no matter what we say about these young generations, they are very astute and very clear. We know that people will judge us all the time. And this is something that one of the students started off with, that people judge you all the time. How do you deal with it? So my simple answer to this is that people do judge you all the time, and there's no way you can prevent it. They will judge you by the money you have. They will judge you by the degree you have. An IIT or an IIM degree is way above other degrees. Okay, they will judge you by all of that. They will judge you by the position you have within your organization or within society. But most importantly, they will judge you by the small things that you do. And if people don't judge you by that, their judgment is not worth worrying about. So they will judge you by the small things that you do. And these small things you may not even register or think of. Say the DP, the picture on your WhatsApp or contact or whatever it is. The tagline, like my tagline on WhatsApp says, innovate or perish. That's something I believe in. But there are people who have taglines which say, oh, really? Maybe you say really for my tagline also, but, and most importantly, how you behave and interact with everybody that you come across and whom you meet and deal with, especially those who are less fortunate than you. Do you know the name of the lift man in your building? Do you know the name of the person who comes into your office, cleans up and goes? When you go to a restaurant, do you say, shh, shh? Or will you ask the waiter his name when he comes in, introduces himself as the person who's going to take care of you that evening, and then call him by his name? People judge you by this, and that judgment is very, very important. A lot of people say this is not true or not necessary, but I believe it is absolutely necessary. Make yourself needed. Become indispensable. People will tell you nobody is indispensable. Trust me, they are wrong. If you are needed, if you make yourself indispensable, well, in the long run, they will settle without you. But there are times, and I know this from personal experience, where they'll need 3 people to replace you. It's happened with me. Okay. And to do this, do whatever it takes within your values, within honesty, within the ethics that you have set up. But do whatever it takes. By doing this, by becoming needed and indispensable, it will get you a lot more attention than otherwise. And hence recognition also, because people will recognize your value and will open up unexpected opportunities for you to grow. And to do all of this, you need to invest in yourself. As I said, you need to keep learning. You need to keep growing. But you need to be compassionate and mindful with yourself. Don't treat yourself too harshly. Treat yourself with compassion. Treat yourself with mindfulness. Okay? And always stay inspired and focused. And be accountable at all times. No matter what position you are in, you have to be accountable. Not only to those around you, but to yourself most of all. And whenever something comes up, you need to act promptly. Now, when we say act promptly, some of these things you need to set up a routine to do so. Because promptly doesn't mean that you work in a haphazard manner. Or promptly doesn't mean, like when I'm doing these talks, my phone is off, my internet is off. I keep everything off so that nobody can even make a WhatsApp call or send me a WhatsApp message or even call me at that time. And again, one of the students asked me that there are times he really wants to procrastinate. I told him that please go ahead and procrastinate, but procrastinate with intent and with a purpose. If that procrastination is going to help you to make your work better, because you're not really procrastinating in this absolute sense, you're using the time to plan how you will address that work. And when you want to work and when you want to act promptly, you need to remove all the distractions in front of you and remove them ruthlessly. Like just chop them off. There's no place for them in your life. Network well and make meaningful connections. Make connections that are going to help you to become a better person. Feed your brain all the time. And feeding the brain isn't only about checking your IQ or anything. It's about eating right. It's about exercising and exercising right. And it's, of course, about stimulating your brain all the time. It could be a nice game you're playing, but it keeps your brain stimulated and it keeps you alert. Sleep well and enough. As I said, I go to sleep at 9:30 and I have an alarm to remind me to go to sleep. Funny, right? But then to get up at 4 o'clock, I need to do that. Be frugal with yourself. But with others, be generous. Very generous. And use your money wisely. Don't spend it on things that are not necessary. Don't get unnecessary stuff. It's not going to help you any. Okay? And spend to uplift others at all times. I know a lot of people are going to get upset with this statement of mine. But I know people who will spend anything and everything for some religious cause, maybe a temple or maybe doing some puja or whatever. But I know a lot of them who will not willingly or take an initiative to spend on education, health, etc. Actually, that's the thing that's going to uplift others. God is up there already. So uplift your fellow beings. Now, when I'm 70, I think about it and I say, okay, I should have made every decision in my life. And I should have taken every action in my life in such a way that when I am 80, I'm talking about what I would have liked to be when I was 30 or 40, that when I'm an 80-year-old self, I will be very proud of and will want to share my decisions, my thoughts, my actions with all the future generations. Honestly, being a part of this, I have done a few things I'm very proud of. But then there are a few things one always does, which they only wished they hadn't. One needs to keep moving, both mentally and physically. You need to exercise, you need to stimulate your brain, as you just said. Learn to stay happy. Not everything is going to be the way you want it, but stay happy no matter what. Okay? And don't ever just say a no. I know a lot of people who are naysayers, or when you talk of anything, the first thing that comes to mind is a negative thought. At the same time, I don't believe in being the extreme other end where I'm optimistic, no matter how silly or how worthless that thing might sound. Be someone who says it's possible. Shall I use the word possibilistic? Be a possibilistic. Okay. And once you say it is possible, try to do it. Try to make sure that you said it's possible. Yes, I did it. And at all times, talk less, but say more. Use fewer words, but convey much bigger depth. I do this very often. Be selectively ignorant. Helps. Helps us spread kindness. Much needed. Stay a lifelong student. Keep that childlike curiosity in you always alive. Be inquisitive and ask the right questions. Curiosity has never killed the cat. Curiosity has always made that cat much smarter. Stay a digital minimalist. I don't think many of us can do it today. I used to do it very seriously some time back, but now with thought shots and all, I want people to know about it. I want people to know. So I'm there on LinkedIn, I'm there on Facebook. I think I'm now on X also. So, but at the same time, stay a digital minimalist. Consume intention. If you're reading something, let there be a purpose. Let your intent, know your intent for consuming that. Something that I have done and has helped me always, use the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Don't do 80% of the things that are going to give you only 20% of the benefits. Do those 20%, focus on those 20%, those high priority items that will give you 80% of the results. Always stay passionate and pursue your passion. One thing, remember, you need to learn to embrace fear. Because that is one thing that makes most of us stay away from attempting to do anything. And that is fear. Fear of the failure, fear of the results, fear of what somebody else will say. Why? Fear only yourself, fear that God above. So embrace fear. Now, while a lot of these points, as I said, I made from my own notes as well as things that came up during the Q&A session, where students asked me some really brilliant questions or gave me very good pointers to add to this list. I believe that all of these are relevant in helping you, anyone, him, her, transform their life and attain a higher level of success, both in the professional as well as the personal space. I have one final request from you all. Please send me your thoughts. Please send me other things that come to mind that are going to help one become a better person. I'd like to expand this list and make it as comprehensive as possible. Thank you. Have a good evening. I'll see you in the next episode.